The first time you ride it, there are probably a handful of things that will jump out at you right away. Now let's talk about the second mod I did on my V4. I got to open one of my boxes from Sweden, Öhlins steering damper. If you have a chance to buy a V4 or even ride a V4, the first time you ride it, there are probably a handful of things that will jump out at you right away within the first 5 or 10 minutes on the bike. The first thing is probably going to be the seat height. It is a tall bike, and I'll talk more about all these things during my 5,000 mile review video. The second thing is probably the exhaust. It is surprisingly loud. I have no idea how they got this bike to pass noise regulations in this day and age. The third thing is probably the throttle response in first gear. It has a horrible dead spot when you roll it on. Fourth thing you'll probably notice within 10 minutes, the heat. It feels like it's going to burst into flames. And probably the next thing that I noticed is that the steering feels too heavy. Now I am talking about the standard V4, which comes with a non-adjustable steering damper. Obviously that fixed setting has to work in multiple situations, like riding the bike on the street, riding it in the canyons, riding it on a track day. I'd wager that 99% of V4s are ridden on the street, and the setting they have it is just too stiff for the street. And I would guess that for a lot of people doing a track day, the stock damper setting would be too soft. So one size fits all doesn't really work that well. So one of the first things I ordered was an adjustable steering damper from Ohlins, so I can turn it down to 1 on the street. Because there are a lot of slow speed corners when you're riding a bike on the street, you usually want the steering to be pretty light. And then if I do some canyon riding, I can turn it up to 3 or 4. And then if I do a track day, I can turn it up to 6 or 7. It just makes riding the bike way more enjoyable, being able to adjust the steering stiffness. So the installation of it was actually incredibly easy. I'd say beginning to end, the whole thing took all of 15 minutes. So I can only give this a 1 on the difficulty scale of 1 to 10. I'll put a link to the video I watched before I installed mine. It's really helpful and very thorough. Now this Öhlins damper is actually just a little bit heavier than the stock unit, but you can tell it is much better quality than the stock one that comes with the bike. And it was definitely worth it, in my opinion. So to see more mods and motorcycle adventures, subscribe, and hopefully I will catch you in the next one.